This guy Jordan Belford, I think his name is. For The Wolf of Wall Street, he is a convicted criminal, and he became a celebrity. They made a movie about him, and he's never off TV.
Yeah.
So I think Sam Bankman-Fried will be on TV constantly. He'll be on CNBC every day. He'll probably have his own show.
Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Talk Crypto. In today's video, we have Bitcoin maximalist Max Keiser talking about the latest developments on the FTX collapse. Keiser compares the FTX fraud to a video game in the metaverse, where players never really face any consequences for their actions. He also comments on El Salvador's genius counterplay and how they're positioning to win the money game. Let's listen to Max Keiser as he gives his take on what will happen to SBF and how the FTX debacle is playing out. But before we do, please consider subscribing to our channel, as we bring you daily content on the latest crypto news. And now, let's jump right into the video.
Prison in Bahamas was equivalent to when you open a bad door in a video game and you have a penalty. So this is just part of the video game. He had a 4 or 5 night experience in the simulated prison environment. It was all put together for him as part of his game operators. There is no prison in the Bahamas. He never was involved in any scandals per se. He's just part of the simulation, and he had to go into that experience of the simulated prison. And now he's on an airplane flying around with guards. He's looking for his next power-up pill to take to get to the next level of the video game. So he's definitely leading in this particular game called FTX Scammer Fraud. And he's definitely the most winningest player. His girlfriend, Caroline, is in New York. She's trying to play the game as well. Apparently, she's copped to charge and to save on some simulated jail time. But she's out drinking fancy coffee and Starbucks and whatnot. So this is really, the culmination of 30 years of gaming, I would say.
If I were going to call this game something, I would be Who Wants to Be a Quintillionaire? Because, of course, Sam Bankman-Fried was flown in a Gulfstream G550 back from the Bahamas to New York, landed in White Plains. So he was flown in luxury. And one thing that I noticed is, of course, he went into Manhattan for one night in prison before he made bail or bond, whatever you want to call it. But nevertheless, the point is he only had to stay one night and then was released the next day. When if you look at Rikers, you have on Rikers a bunch of non-quintillionaires for things like stealing a backpack or something really small, something minor relative to what Sam Bankman-Fried is alleged to have done. So if you're poor, you end up in Rikers and you're there for years. If you're a quintillionaire, we see obviously you get treated very differently. And the plunder, the moral system and the legal system that justifies the big plunder is quite extraordinary for all to see. You could just see it right there.
This guy Jordan Belford, I think his name is. For The Wolf of Wall Street, he is a convicted criminal, and he became a celebrity. They made a movie about him, and he's never off TV.
Yeah.
So I think Sam Bankman-Fried will be on TV constantly. He'll be on CNBC every day. He'll probably have his own show pushing this idea of the metaverse, that he's actually a philanthropist, and he made a boo-boo, and he shouldn't go to jail. And this will go on for years. We're going to have to listen to this guy espouse his moral universe of never having any consequences and just hitting reset every time you feel like it for years and years. And no one's going to stop him, and they're going to use that to push through the CBDC. I think he'll be the poster child for the central bank digital currency. It probably has his face on it. And he'll be on every day talking about why it's great. And, we're going to avoid all the mistakes I made with FTX. And, that trial, Kevin O'Leary says you're innocent until proven guilty, right? So, they've already established that they're going to give this guy a pass, and we're going to let him just talk anyway. And he's going to be the salesperson for CBDC. We'll never see this guy will be on TV every single day.
Keiser believes the collapse of FTX and all the propaganda surrounding SBF were part of the plan to introduce CBDCs as the trusted digital currency that investors can feel comfortable about. Meanwhile, El Salvador has been playing a different game outside of this metaverse world. Let's hear what Max Keiser has to say about it.
The metaverse now is everything outside of El Salvador for the moment. Hopefully there'll be there'll be more countries joining up with El Salvador soon and being a part of the renaissance of hard money and values, human values. But right now, this is a unique place on planet Earth, and everything outside of here is becoming like the metaverse, where everything is seen as just part of role-playing a game and with its own gaming currency. And when we see all values are completely fungible. So you have it's all fungible. The legal system is fungible. The medical system is fungible. There's nothing with any steadfast values out in the metaverse because it's constantly being rewritten in real time by whoever has the proof of stake, the most proof of stake. So there are no values out there. And so we see the obvious transformation of the metaphysical's reality in the metaverse that is based on lust, essentially, and fetishism. And we see the result. That's where we are in history. You know, I saw Steven Spielberg said something interesting recently. He said, when he started out making films followed a classic formula of a beginning, a middle, and end. And he said, we're in an era now where the film has a beginning, and then has a second beginning, and then at the end is really a third beginning, right? So if you look at the structure of the story of these films these days, it's always about revealing, like, this is not actually the story is about to begin, right? So there's never any resolution to these stories. It's just you're constantly on the edge of the beginning, but there's no ending.
But that's exactly what I was just saying about Sam Bankman-Fried. They live in a world without consequences, right? That you never have to pay for your choices.
No, just hit reset.
And that's a world without ethics, right? Because there are costs and consequences to the choices you make every single day.
Really, our content creation was all of our shows, going back to, the truth about what goes on in these markets. It goes with the Keiser Report. It goes with Orange Pill Podcast. It'll continue with the Orange Pill Podcast. So it's the same thread about the transition from a world of classic storytelling and consequences and heroes and villains and character development and something that resembles a life that people are used to living, to this perpetual, never-ending reset, beginning, metaverse tale told by infants who are coddled and force-fed, vegetarian meat substitutes and drugs, vegan, who are become heroic in this new world. But, I think that El Salvador is the counter story. El Salvador is saying, you know what, we don't want that. We're going to go Bitcoin as legal tender, and nothing else is here because nothing else is any good. And so this is the counter story.
Keiser says, El Salvador is establishing itself as clinging to the ethical values of hard money by making Bitcoin legal tender, while the rest of the world is going to the dark ages of fiat money and proof of stake. What do you guys think of Max Keiser's take on the future of SBF and the FTX debacle? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give us a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. This is Let's Talk Crypto, and we'll see you in the next video.